Greetings, my friends. I'm going to start a new series this week talking about some of my first army lists and how I'm building around some of the synergies and what my logic is thinking. I know a bunch of you are already starting to submit lists for the army list show. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. There will be army list show coming soon. Not this weekend. Maybe we're going to aim for like the end of the month to bring back the army list show where we start reviewing again community submitted army lists once I've had a few more games of 10th edition under my belt. But for now, let me talk you through one of the lists I'm building. I'm building two to play this Saturday. I'd love it if you come and hang out this Saturday and watch our live stream. All right, let's get into this first list. So I just start by including Commander Dante and some Sanguinary Guard. And Sanguinary Guard are up to 215 points per model. Now they do have OC2, and they do get a nice buff from Dante, which is the +1 to charge and the +1 to their hit roll. Not as powerful as it was before, because Dante used to be able to give them like reroll hits, but it's still pretty decent. And the advantage I see around this, I guess, was like you don't have to be out of a transport to use the ability. You know, before Dante's Chapter Master rerolls needed to be used at the start of the command phase. So if you're in a transport or anything like that, you couldn't essentially do this. So I thought Dante plus some Sandguard, and I'm scared because I know Sanguinary Guard aren't survivable. I talk a lot about them not being survivable. They're -1 to hit and melee, which is fine, but it's not that strong. Especially like they die pretty quickly to being shot. You do get the banner, which gives them OC2. So Dante plus 5 of these guys is going to be OC11, so assuming you kill a few models wherever you jump, you're probably going to be able to flip the objective pretty quickly. And while your Warlord is leading the unit, they're -1 to hit. I think there's actually a good argument here for like just a captain. If your captain's a Warlord, he could lead the Sanguinary Guard, and it could be just as effective, maybe if not more. Maybe going to make a video looking at that. But anyway, for now, Dante is leading 5 Sanguinary Guard. I'm probably going to take like the 4 blades and the 1 power fist because I can do that. I'm definitely going to take the banner. I'm probably going to run mostly infernal pistols because I like them, but I do think Angelus bolt guns are much better now that they're pistols, so they can be shot in combat. But I'm super scared of for these guys. They're only toughness 4, they're only 2 wound marines, so 43 points per model is insane if you ask me. So how am I going to protect these? Well, I'm going to dump this whole squad in a Land Raider, and I'm going for a Firstborn Land Raider. And the reason that I'm going the Firstborn Land Raider, it'll take 12. It counts for 2 for jump units, so that will basically protect my whole 5-man Sanguinary Guard and Dante for turn 1. The other big option here that I'd considered is Rapid Ingress. And Rapid Ingress is the core stratagem where you can basically bring down the Sanguinary Guard. Here it is. And you use it at the end of your opponent's movement phase. Select 1 unit from your army in reserve. You can now arrive in on the battlefield as if it was a reinforcement step of your movement phase. So you arrive in your opponent's turn at the end of their movement phase. You cannot use the stratagem to enable a unit to arrive in a battlefield doing a battle round it normally not being able to do so. So you would have to arrive from turn 2 onwards. Can't arrive in turn 1. However, Sanguinary Guard moving 12, getting +1 from Dante, and then doing a charge basically means you could place them 15.9 inches away from the opponent and guarantee the charge. And you'd be out, like they wouldn't be able to charge you because you're more than 12 away from them. So there's 0% chance they can charge you, and you can definitely charge what you want to charge because you would basically move 12, then you would roll a Snake Eyes for your charge. So that would be a double 1. You get +1 because Dante's with a Sanguinary Guard. And then you'd need to end within an inch, so 15.9 inches away. So if you can find somewhere, an obscuring position, 15.9 inches away from the enemy model you want dead, and you can put your models down obscured so they can't be shot, then Rapid Ingress may actually be really useful. It might actually be the way that you can run these guys, because I don't like 2 wound marines with no invuln save. Like, these guys are not survivable. 9th edition tells me that when these guys were 32 points per model, they were, and then you had to pay 5 points for the Infernal Pistols or Power Fists or whatever, they really weren't competitive at 37 per model. So I don't see how they're going to be competitive at all at 43 points per model. Yes, they're OC2, but it doesn't really matter. It's like, when Sanguinary Guard jump in with the amount of attacks they get, they're probably going to kill stuff. They're probably going to kill enough stuff that they flip the objective. Very occasionally, 5 Sanguinary Guard plus Dante, or I guess previously maybe it was 7 Sanguinary Guard plus Dante because people liked 7s. They would usually always flip what they're going after. So I'm putting mine in a Land Raider because I'm scared. Be that what it may. Land Raider is going to basically give me 16 wounds on a 2-up save with toughness 12. I'm going to drive my Land Raider 10 inches forward in turn 1, and I will take it from there. Remember, each time a unit disembarks from this model after it's made a normal move, that unit is still eligible to declare a charge. Now, that doesn't benefit jump units all that much, right? It would benefit like a Blade Guard if you move the Land Raider forward 10, then disembark 3, and then charge with the Blade Guard. And that's originally what I was thinking. And maybe I need to try that. But for my first game, I'm probably going to try Sanguinary Guard inside that, essentially, the Land Raider, and get it forward. And then I'll disembark 3, I'll jump forward 12. I'll get my minimum 3 inches of charge, which means I should be able to guarantee tagging something 19 inches away in turn 2. Add that to the 10 inches of turn 1 movement. I should be able to tag pretty much anything I want. I don't know how... If they shoot the Land Raider, I'm probably going to either play Smoke on it, or I might play Smoke, and I might even play Armor of Contempt as well. Like, the Land Raider's got to survive for this to work. And I might not have 2 CP actually in turn 1 to make this work, but we'll see. All right, so this is the way that I'm starting my list off. I'm gonna run 5 Death Company with hammers. We all know what they do. They're still good. If anything, arguably they're a little bit better now because they're gonna get like an 8 free reroll. Death Company, that will be with jump packs and hammers. Death Company with jump packs. Here they are. So basically, each model with their Thunder Hammers is going to get 3 attacks, weapon skill 4 up, that's the weakness of them, but because I have the Black Rage, each time this model and the unit makes an attack, we can reroll hit rolls. While it's not within 12, I'm not going to have a Chaplain in this list, so basically I'm not going to be able to fall back, and I'm not going to have any OC, but that's not what these guys are here for. These guys, 5 Death Company with the jump packs, with the hammers, are just going to try and smash into something big, and take it out, right? Like, in some ways it might actually be better that I don't have to, like, I won't have to worry about trying to finish their move on an objective or anything like that. I won't have to worry about them dying. They're just going to go forward, try and kill something. We're going to run the Librarian Dreadnought. There's 2 reasons to run the Librarian Dreadnought as it stands, I think. Here's the aura. While a friendly model is within 6, models that unit have a 5-up feel no pain against mortal wounds and psychic attacks. We already saw that 1,000 Suns are basically the best army now in 10th edition, according to the early analysis. They do so many mortal wounds, so having a bubble of mortal wound protection, I suppose, is not bad. Similar to how we used to be able to put Soul Warden on our character, our Librarian Dreadnought will actually do that, and he protects both against mortals and psychic attacks. So even when the psychic attack doesn't do mortals, we'll get an extra feel no pain against that. Cool. We also know that he can throw a unit around infantry unit within 12 inches. He can, for a 2-up on a cast, he can basically get them like, what did we used to call it? It used to be called Wings of Fire, where you could pick them up and put them down anywhere on the battlefield. And I've got 2 ways I'm thinking about this. One way is this big squad of Blade Guard with the Judicaire. The other way that I'm thinking is my Desolation Marines. I'm going to be hiding my Desolation Marines for a few turns. I'm going to probably be hiding my Land Speeder pretty far back, because if the Land Speeder can see the target, my Desolation Marines can get +1 to hit. So if my Desolation Marines stand still, right, and I just built Desolation Marines this week. I've only built 5, but I really think I might build my other 5. And I was actually looking at eBay today, like, I may even want to get 10 of them. I mean, it's not very Blood Angels, but these guys just look crazy good, right? So, if we look at their indirect fire, we know that they get, like, D3 shots, ballistic skill 3 up, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage, right? So basically, like, the squad is going to get approximately 8 shots. But blast is different now. Every time you target something with a blast weapon, you get +1 for 5 models, you get +2 for 10 models. I wasn't sure about this, and maybe someone in the comments can answer, and I guess I'll find out probably this Saturday when I play. If I'm shooting a 10-man squad with my Desolation Marines, do I just get +2 because it's 10? Or do I get +2 per weapon? Because if I get +2 per weapon, that's actually kind of insane. It would 3 plus 2 per weapon. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Each time this model remains stationary until the start of the next unit phase, ranged weapons equipped by this models that have ignores cover ability. Sorry, ranged weapons equipped with in this model have the ignores cover ability, and you can ignore the penalty on their hit rolls when making attacks with indirect fire against targets that are not visible. So we no longer take the -1 to hit from indirect fire, so we now would hit on 3s, and the enemy doesn't get the bonus to the cover save. So yeah, I mean, it's probably like 8 to 10 attacks, maybe more depending on blast. Someone tell me in the comments exactly how blast works. So 8 to 10 attacks, but if my land speeder can see the target, and the land speeder basically has a cool rule that buffs blast weaponry. So land speeder, it buffs the. I'm just going to read you it because I don't want to make any mistakes in this video. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy that is visible to this model, so there's no range limit on this, until end of the phase. Each time a friendly adept as a start his model makes an attack with a blast weapon that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll, and the attack has ignore cover. So basically, you already have ignore cover from the Desolation Marine standing still, but I guess you could move them, you could hit on 4s, and you could get them back to hitting on 3s. Either way, I think this is really good. I think Desolation Marines seem grossly undercosted. I think the other thing we could have probably mentioned when we were looking at the Desolation Marines profile is Desolation Squad. Every model also has basically like a super crack rocket. So you're getting like strength 10 minus 2d6 plus 1. Yes, the Sergeant can. All models in this unit have their super frag rocket replaced with super crack. The Sergeant can replace his with a Vanguard launcher, so he can have another slightly better indirect fire, strength 7, -1, 2 damage, again ignoring cover, again no -1 to hit, so he'll be hitting on 2s. It's not bad at all, right? And I think there's twofold ways. So this is pretty good early game, right? I can hide my Desolation Marines, I can shoot indirect, I can kill squads. I think 10 of these guys actually kind of seem insane. But then here's a trick that Blood Angels have that maybe other factions don't. Later in the game, or even maybe if I run 2 squads of 5, early in the game, we know 9-inch charges are unreliable, so we know that basically placing like our placing like a unit of like Sandguard forward in turn 1 to make a charge, it's like less than a 50% chance. It's really not that useful. But maybe I could just hide my Desolation Marines turn 1. If I go first, just teleport them up onto high building or into a clear line of sight where I just want something killed. And I got a lot of crack missiles there. I mean, a 10-man squad with crack could actually just be ridiculous. And these guys are so cheap. I don't understand why these guys are 120 points. You're getting, like I said, 10 indirect shots and then the 5 super crack missiles. There's a lot of firepower. Yes, I suppose they're just 2-1 Marines as well, but I think there's some real nasty play around the Desolation Marines. I'd be surprised if we don't see some tournaments won by like Marine players, other chapters maybe, not Blood Angels, but with 20 or 30 Desolation Marines. They're that good. Indirect fire on them, it's like they basically can ignore both negatives from indirect fire. We know indirect fire was so strong. In fact, in 9th edition, they put in 3 negatives for indirect fire, right? Because it was like you got cover, you got +1 to your save, and you got -1 to hit. So it was like they put in 3 negatives. And even then, indirect fire wasn't dead. It wasn't horrific. It still could kill stuff. You know, people laughed at me bringing a whirlwind. I don't know if you watched the battle report where I killed the Imperial Guard artillery with a whirlwind in turn 1. Just chose his artillery. Whirlwind just took it out before he even got to do anything with it. People say, oh, indirect fire is dead. Well, it wasn't completely dead. It did still work. So if you ignore, let's say you ignore 10 Desolation Marines for the whole game and they can sit there shooting their indirect fire, it's like 50 shots of indirect fire from 5 guys. So it would be 100 shots of indirect fire from 10 guys for 240 points. It's really hard to argue with that. The Land Speeder's buff here basically is going to buff, like, you pick the unit with a Land Speeder, right? So I pick one unit and then I could shoot 3 squads of Desolation Marines at them. I'd just wipe one unit indirect, turn 1 almost. Like, 3 squads would be what, like, it's about 10 guys, 20, 30 shots. It's about 100 strength 4 shots. I mean, like, you just kill units off their backfield objectives, or, I mean, yeah, I don't know. And then in Blood Angels have the trick then later in the game will just be like, you could almost, you know how in Blood Angels it was almost, you know, like hide your whole army, and then turn 1 you would send out your 5 Death Company with hammers, turn 2 you would send out like 5 Sanguinary Guard, or whatever, how you want to do it. You could always just be like, alright, turn 1 I'm just going to teleport 10 Desolation Marines into a really obnoxious position, shoot you with 10 crap missiles, shoot you with like 20 or 30 shots of indirect, and then you're going to have to go deal with them, and then turn 2 I'm just going to teleport another squad far forward. I suppose that's a unique and interesting thing the Librarian Dreadnought can do. I'm at the point where, like, I really want to buy more Desolation Marines. I really want to build some more. You might see me on stream building them this week. Anyway, meanwhile, in my backfield, I'm also going to have my 5, or it's 6 now, sorry. I think I would have liked to run 5, but obviously can't do that anymore. 6 Blade Guard with a Judiciar with Artisan of War. 6 Blade Guard. Blade Guard, people are saying that Blade Guard haven't been as good as they thought they might be. So Blade Guard have taken a hit in that they no longer have a 2-up save, right? So they're a little bit more vulnerable to, like, I guess, like, weight of fire from slow AP weapon or low AP weaponry. They're still toughness 4, they're still 3 wounds. What they do have is a bonus in the fight phase. At the start of fight phase, you can select one of the following to apply to this unit. You can either, each time this model in the unit makes a melee attack, reroll your 1s. So if you're fighting first, you would do that. If you're fighting second, each time an invulnerable save throw is made for this unit, you can reroll 1. So that, statistically, that, like, if a Storm Shield is a 50% chance to save, if you can reroll a 1, then that would be 16% divided by 2, because once you've rolled that 1, you then have to roll a 4 up again. So it increases the Storm Shield percentage of save from 50 to 58%. So statistically, that means, I mean, statistically, their invulnerable save becomes a 3.5 in melee. So imagine if you could roll a 3.5 on a dice, that is what their invuln becomes, if they can reroll 1s. So their invuln in melee is really good. It's a 3.5. Nothing, barely anything in 10th edition is going to have a 3.5 up. Their buff is also going to basically help your attached unit, right? Because at the start of the phase, you can select one of the following to apply to models in this unit. Well, my Judiciar is attached, so it's not going to affect his defensive profile. But if my Judiciar is going to be attacking, which he will be, and remember, if the Judiciar is attached to the Blade Guard, they will fight first. So if the enemy charge you, you will still fight before them, assuming that you pick that unit as your, like, first unit in that phase to fight. So your Judiciar will get 2-up weapon skill, rerolling 1, strength 7, -2, 2 damage, devastating wounds, and precision. So he can target characters in the opponent's squad. And this is before you factor in, remember, Blood Angels. If this is the Blood Angels attachment you're going to play, and I was going to come to that near the end of this video, or near the end of this army list, you could be looking at +1 attack, and you could be looking at +1 strength. So the Judiciar would be 6 attack, strength 8. Your Blade Guard, I think they are now 4 attacks. I have to check Blade Guard, actually. I think they're 4 attacks. Blade Guard Veterans. I can't even think what they're called. I'm going to share the spreadsheet at the end of this video as well. So if anyone is... Some people have said they hate not having Battle Scribe. This is a very basic spreadsheet. Make a copy of it in your Google Drive. You literally just go File, make a copy, and then you'll be able to edit my lists, make your own lists. And I mean, there's nothing fancy about the spreadsheet. It's just like 2-3 formulas adding up the different rows for including units, but maybe it'll help someone. So it'll be there anyway, right? So Blade Guard have 4 attacks with their swords. That would become 5 attacks at strength 6. Bearing in mind, remember, if you do go the Blood Angels detachment, you do have ways of getting like +1 to wound, and also 6s bursting to auto wounds through lethal hits and stuff like that. Okay, so the Blade Guard are a good candidate for potentially the Librarian Dreadnought throwing forward, or turn 1. The Land Raider's probably not going to advance turn 1, right? Because I'm going to want to shoot its weapons. There's an argument to be said about going Gladiatus detachment, so Land Raider could go in advance, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if we don't advance the Land Raider, then the Blade Guard moves 6. So with an average advance roll, they would be right behind the Land Raider. So I guess in turn 2, when the Sanguinary Guard and Dante come out to go do some killing, the Blade Guard could arguably then jump into the Land Raider. Then the Land Raider could move forward 10, and then you've got the Blade Guard hopefully protected in a fairly healthy Land Raider deep into enemy lines, and then that's going to be a very easy charge for them in turn 3, because remember, the Land Raider can move its 10, and then they can disembark and charge because of the assault ramp. So that's kind of the play here. So turn 1, Land Raider with Sanguinary Guard, Blade Guard probably going to use Land Raider, hopefully for cover, and then hopefully dive into it and get a bit of a lift up the board. Right, so that's the bottom part of the list. Next up, I'm going to have the Whirlwind, because I ran the damn Whirlwind all edition, last edition. It was very good because of the Suppression Fire, which we don't have anymore, but while they've removed Suppression Fire, rockets have got a hell of a lot better. They are now Blast, Indirect, D6 plus 3, hitting on 3s, Strength 8 minus 2 damage. In the shooting phase, after this model is shot, if one or more of the attacks with the Whirlwind Vengor launcher scored a hit against an enemy infantry, that unit must take a battle shock test. So potentially, if you hit enemy infantry, you may actually be able to prevent Overwatch, because you will force them to take a battle shock test. But D6 plus 3 shots basically moves it from like an average of like 3 shots every turn to 6 shots every turn. If I target the same target that my Desolation Marines are targeting because of the Land Speeder buff, then I get to hit on 2s, then I get to ignore cover. So at that point, I'm hitting on 2s with 6 shots. They're Strength 8, they're minus 2, there's 2 damage. So between the Whirlwind and the Desolation Marines, I feel I can actually kill like a whole squad of guys. I think that's actually kind of decent. It's better than I thought it was. I think if you add the third 5-man squad of Desolation Marines, it's kind of getting a bit silly how much indirect fire there is. But I guess we'll wait and see. I'm going to test it. The cool thing I like about the Whirlwind as well is it's a good unit to sit on the backfield and do some screening and also hold objectives. It holds objectives with a toughness 10 and a 3-up save. And now it's OC3. Which is a big advantage over what it used to be. It used to just count as one model. The amount of times it was like one enemy infantry in the Whirlwind on an objective, and because of that it's contested. Well, now if that ever happens, it's mine, because the Whirlwind is OC3. Yes, it can have a Stormbolt, or yes, it can have a Hunter Killer Missile, whoop-de-doo. It's also better in melee. And if it's Blood Angels in melee, then it's 4 attack, strength 7. So it'll do okay in melee. Next up, I'm going to have the Impulsor with the Shield Dome. The Impulsor is it's moved up to toughness 9. It's got 11 wounds, so toughness and wounds stayed the same. Again, it's got slightly better OC. Units can disembark and shoot if you want them to. That's not how I'm going to play it. When a friendly adept as a starter's unit is within 6 of this, if you have the comms array, you can basically use a stratagem on them, and on a 5-up you can gain 1 CP. However, you have to choose a comms array, a shield dome, a sky talon array, or the missile launcher. I am going to leave it with a couple of stormbolters so it can shoot in combat. The heavy stubbers got better in that they gave it like sustained hits. Sorry, not sustained hits, rapid fire 3. I thought it was sustained hits. It must have been the sky talon array got the sustained hits. So because the heavy stubbers got the sustained hits 3, rapid fire 3, I'll say that again. And I'm going to keep it with the shield dome to give it that 5-up invuln save. So toughness 9 is a little bit harder to wound, I suppose. But inside that is going Mephiston with 5 assault intercessors. And there's only a few units that Mephiston can attach to, which is kind of disappointing because I think he would have been awesome with Blade Guard. But anyway, so we're going to put Mephiston with the assault intercessor. Some people are saying there's some play with the stern guards because they get to shoot twice, and Mephisto could potentially shoot his psychic twice. I like him with a melee unit. I'm going after melee. He's also going to be fighting first, so basically it's going to be hard for the opponents to charge. Like if I lose my transports in the shooting phase, they're going to struggle to charge my Blade Guard or my Mephiston squad, because both those squads are going to get fight first. Mephiston obviously gives them fight first with quickening. He also gives them a 4-up feel no pain against psychic attacks. So I guess in a meta where there's going to be a lot of damage again from psychic and mortals, this is going to help. At the start of the fight phase, basically Mephiston can also make the enemies basically take less. They can have less weapon skill and less hits as well with his transfixing gaze. It's nice to see some of the old names back. And again, if he's in Blood Angels, he could have 7 attacks at strength 10 on the charge. And it's important to note that all his psychic attacks are pistol attacks now, which means he can basically shoot them in the same turn that he fires his pistol, because obviously you can shoot all your pistols. And then there was one other thing to say. I think the other thing to note is that his psychic, if he goes hazardous, is sustained hits 3, which is possibly worth going hazardous for, because any 6s, you're hitting on 2s, and any 6s are going to be 3 additional hits. And if he fails the hazardous test, if he rolls a 1 on that hazardous test, he does have 4-up feel no pain against psychic attacks. So basically, like, he will be able to... Oh, I have to check that. I don't know if hazardous for psychic failure means that you can use his 4-up feel no pain, but regardless, he can use his 5-up feel no pain. I forgot he had that as well. So he's doing a 4-up against psychic attacks. He has a 5-up feel no pain. So I think if he fails the hazardous, you'd have to roll his feel no pain. So statistically, if he fails hazardous, he's just taking 1 mortal wound, because statistically you should take 2, and then probably you're going to pass 1 5-up. Oh, maybe just worse than that. So if you take hazardous, you could take a couple of mortal wounds on a bad day. On a good day, you probably take no mortal wounds, even if you fail your hazardous test. They also finally give Mephiston a 5-up invuln. I'm so happy about that. I don't know why the Sangre Guard at 43 points per model couldn't have had a 5-up invuln. I think it's ludicrous to say that they still have to save Meltas. 2 Marine still has to save Meltas on 6s. Whatever, I'm not going to be too upset about it. I guess that's where Sangre Guard have landed. I can tell you right now, we're not going to see very many Sangre Guard on the table, which is sad, because I finally just got 25 of them. I'm finally finished. Like, I got the number that's in the lore, and now I'm only going to run 10% of them or something. It's 20%, I guess. I'm also going to run a squad of Incursors. Again, there's advantages and synergies around the Incursors. If you don't know what it is, it basically means, like, when the Incursors shoot, and Incursors have lost their infiltrate ability, which is a little bit sad. But in your shooting phase, after this unit is shot, select 1 enemy unit that was hit by 1 or more attacks made by this unit this phase until end of the phase. Each time a friendly Adeptus Astartes makes an attack, add 1 to the hit. So basically, like, everything in my army is going to get to +1 to hit when it's shooting. Probably if I position my land speeder well and I shoot my Incursors at the correct targets. Their guns are assault and they ignore cover, so these guys with their pre-game move of 6, they should be in a position to be able to shoot where I need them to shoot. And then I have fallen in love with sticky objectives over the last year or so. So I'm going to take a squad of intercessors, which is what it is. They get sticky objectives, and I think sticky objectives can be really useful. They have slightly better war gear now in that, like, their bolt rifles are assault and heavy, so if you stand still, you hit on 2s, you can assault and still shoot them. I think they kept strength 4 minus 1 damage. And you can get a free grenade launcher, which basically gives you a crack grenade, which is a strength 9, 2 AP, D3 at 24 inches for every 5 models. And then your sergeant, I need to actually make an intercessor. I get so many damn intercessors. I need to make an intercessor with a thunderhammer, because why would you not take that free thunderhammer? Maybe, I guess, you could make one with a power fist. There's very little between them. I suppose the advantage of the power fist is you don't have to hit on 4s, but you lose devastating wounds. It might actually be better just to have the power fist on there, just for a little bit more reliability. I suppose you could... Power sword is okay. The chainsword, I've got one with a chainsword. It's actually not horrific for Blood Angels because of the extra strength and stuff. But, yeah. That's my first list. That's what it looks like. This video has actually turned into way longer than I thought it was. Maybe I'm going to release this as a standalone video now. So this is a first look at, like, a Blood Angels list with a bit of thought and synergy behind it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm probably gonna play this list this weekend. So please tune in on Saturday to see this list in action. So thank you ever so much for getting to the end of the video. Please like, share, or subscribe. I have been John. This has been the Blood Angels Commander channel, and there's so many more videos that I need to make for 10th edition. You'll see them filtering out in the next few weeks, and please watch as many as you can get, and please leave some comments and join us live. I'm really looking forward to getting in and diving in and seeing what is the best list we can build. Alright, catch you guys in the near future. By the blood are made strong. Peace.